All right. Welcome to today's class. Today we are going to be discussing business analysis, planning, and monitoring. So this is week 2. Last week was week 1, and we discussed the foundations of business analysis, where we talked about the BABOK areas, the business analysis body of knowledge, the 6 knowledge areas we're going to delve at, and then we also talked about the core concepts of the business analysts, what business analysis means, who the business analyst is, and we also discussed the stakeholders. And we were able to put stakeholders in a register to understand what their roles are, the level of influence they'll be having, and the level of impact they also have on the business or on the project. Remember that the activities of a business analyst is centered on identifying needs. Those needs can either be problems or they could be opportunity for growth. Now, this week, our major focus will be on understanding what the business analysis planning and monitoring is going to be. So for today's class, I'm going to lay the foundation for the BA planning and monitoring. And then in our next class, we'll be talking more about it. So in order to roll on, just we've had a recap of what we did last week. And this week is BA planning. So the BA planning is talking about what activities we are going to be doing. We need to plan our activities. Each activity, just like you want to have a road trip, you want to take on a road trip, you need to ask yourself, where are you going? If it's a team with a team or group of people, you want to ask, where are we going? Who is going to drive, or at what point will somebody else take over the wheels? And what do you need to go on that journey with? You also need to ask why that journey is relevant. If it's not relevant, you might want to decide, okay, to probably postpone it to a later date, or decide on other activities that will help you achieve what you want to achieve without having to drive. So the key planning questions to ask are, who are the stakeholders? You want to understand who your stakeholders are. What activities do you need to do? What activities do you need to perform? Who will be performing the activities? You need to assign responsibilities, roles and responsibilities. Who is also responsible for what? And then how will you check the progress? Because it's always ideal that you review your progress and see that whatever solution you are implementing aligns with the overall business goals or the vision of the company. So, having understood that, the BA monitoring, on the other hand, we have talked about the BA planning. Remember, the first is the BA planning and monitoring. So we've just itemized what the BA planning means, and now is the BA monitoring. Monitoring, and in the very simple term, means checking if the plan is working, right? So if you have a birthday party to arrange for your son, you will need to check if the cake is ready. That is one activity in monitoring. You want to monitor. You have assigned already during the planning phase. You had assigned the roles. You've contracted the cake to somebody. Now you want to find out if the cake is ready or how far they have gone with it. If they will be able to deliver the cake within the required period of time. You also need to check if the guests have arrived or if they will be attending, as the case may be. If there are any issues that need to be resolved, you need to fix those issues quickly before the event so that you're going to have a seamless event. So that's just about monitoring. That's what monitoring entails in simple terms. Now, if it's in your business, you want to find out in um in your business, you want to find out what that activity is going to be and who is going to be performing what. So usually we use a matrix called the RACI matrix. RACI is a very important tool when it comes to the business analyst planning and monitoring. If the business analyst is planning, you will need to, those stakeholders you had already identified early enough, you have to put them, give them what we call a grid. We call it the power interest grid. So that's what we term it to be, power interest grid. It means that you want to allocate some level of influence or responsibilities to these stakeholders so that you will know the ones that you need to just inform, you will know the ones to consult, you will know the stakeholders that are accountable for certain actions, you will know the stakeholders that are responsible for certain actions. So we use the RACI matrix. There is a template for it in the shared drive, which you can access. It's open to you. You can download it and then utilize it as you wish. Okay, so the RACI matrix, R signifies responsible. The person who is responsible for the solution or the implementation of that problem is going to be assigned as R in the RACI matrix. I will show this to you very shortly. A is accountable. It means that person owns the outcome of the owns the results or owns the outcome of that problem, of that solution you're implementing. So if somebody is going to, let's say the CEO, typically the CEO owns the outcome of it. The business analyst, usually is a responsible person. Usually is a responsible person. So the CEO or the founder or the business owner is a person accountable for the outcome. Also, the stakeholders. Some stakeholders, it depends on how your investor comes into the business. If you have an investor, say like an angel investor might not be accountable for it because he's not sharing in the overall losses of the business, but he will need to be consulted, an angel investor, and some of the times they can also be informed. So if you have an equity partner who is coming in and bringing in a certain amount of money into your business to help it grow, such an individual will need to be informed, not only consulted. You have to also inform them about all the activities you're taking on. So these are levels of responsibilities assigned. So we use the RACI matrix to allocate this. Okay, so I'm going to show that to you shortly. Now, this is the RACI matrix for a typical school project. Let us say in your school, your advanced study, you are undergoing a project or undertaking a project. Now, we have this simple table showing task, the teacher, the students, the parent, or the principal. Okay, or your child's school, they want to take on, say, an inter-house sport. Very good. This is a typical example, and they have asked you to plan this. Okay, an inter-house sport is good. It's not a problem, but it's a need that needs to be satisfied, right? Every year, schools have inter-house sports. Now they've asked you, they've contracted you to be the person to handle that project. Now you have your stakeholders already. Your stakeholders are the teacher, the students, the parents, and the principal. The task here, you've probably chosen a topic or you've chosen an activity. If it's an inter-house sport, you've chosen an activity for that inter-house sport, or you've chosen a set of activities. If one of the activities will be, say, presenting, having, let's say, a quiz competition, okay, for the different houses. So you're going to have a quiz competition. Now, you have already tabulated the stakeholders. The stakeholder who is going to be accountable for the presentation is the teacher. The teacher is the person who is accountable for it, because the teacher owns the outcome of it, not the principal here. Because yes, the principal can be informed, or the principal can also hold the outcome. But for the teacher, if the teacher has taught the child well, it's going to reflect in the presentation. So the teacher actually owns the outcome. If the students cannot read or cannot speak properly, the teacher will be held accountable for that. So that's why we put it as A for the teacher. So what about the student? The student is the person responsible for that action. The student is going to will be the one presenting. So that is a responsible person. So we signify it as R. For the parents are not the ones doing the presentation, but they need to what? Be informed. They need to be consulted about it. Oh, Mrs. Adejumoke, we need your child to participate, or your child will be participating in activity XYZ. We will need your presence on that day. You have consulted the parent. Parent has given a go ahead. Parent will also ensure that the child looks smart on that event. The principal is the informed person. You cannot undertake such an activity without informing the principal. So if you see, that has covered the RACI for that, for choosing the topic or for choosing the activity. Now, to perform the actual research now, you see, the teacher that was accountable for choosing the topic is now going to be informed about the research topic or about the activity the child is going to have for the inter-house sport. Okay, so you have to tell the teacher, this is what's it called, Stanley is going to perform this and this activity. The teacher is informed about it. The teacher gets Stanley ready. Are there things you will need? You need a microphone, you need this and that. So you're keeping the teacher informed. The student is also is the one that is responsible for the action to perform the activity. Okay, so I use research here in this particular scenario, but I'm trying to get it home so that you understand it better, something that is more in tune with what we do often, the inter-house sports. Okay, the parent is consulted as usual, and the principal is informed. Now, if you notice, in line 2, we don't have somebody who is accountable for performing that action. It doesn't mean that the student is not accountable or cannot be accountable for it. No. It only shows the level, the extent, the activities at that time to perform the research. Being accountable at that time is not really relevant. You need people who are informed. The teacher is informed, the principal is informed, the student is the one responsible for taking the action. The parent is also the parent is communicated, right? Or consulted. So the parent is consulted. But here, the activity of being accountable may or may not be relevant at this stage. But during the reporting stage, the teacher is now going to be accountable, because the teacher will be there to have the presentation, to listen to the presentation. The student is also the one responsible for presenting. The parent will be consulted. Your child will be presenting the task that has been given to him on so and so date. You have consulted with the parent. The parent will also, as always, ensure that the child looks smart on that day and looks presentable. and then principal is the one informed about the activity. The principal can be present on that day. So this just shows the racing matrix, the way you align your um, roles and responsibilities with your stakeholders. Let us bring it home. Well, let's say we have a project now at your place of work. Palmer's Hospital is struggling to have their patients seen within 10 minutes of arrival in the emergency unit. Using the racing matrix now, we want to assign responsibilities. The person who is okay, let's use R first. The person who is responsible for making sure that this happens is the business analyst. You're the responsibility officer or the project officer or what we call the product owner. Some companies use the term product owner. They mean the same or they are used interchangeably. Now, who is going to be accountable for that? For that, the accountability person is going to be the nurses and the doctors that will be utilizing those tools, the end users of it. They will be the ones accountable, because even when the person who has performed the action, let's say if the IT or the software engineer has completed the whole task, the individuals that will be utilizing the solution will be the nurses and the doctors that will be triaging these patients. Now, who is going to be consulted for it? The person who will be consulted or who will be communicated that you want to do this and this will have to be the IT department. Don't forget that the software can be contracted to a different entity or an individual outside the company. But the person who should be communicated, you cannot introduce a new software into your facility without the IT department knowing about it. And then you have to inform the CEO. So this is a racing matrix, a simple racing matrix that has been utilized to assign responsibilities and roles to your stakeholders. Okay? If you are following me, please give a thumbs up. If you need me to explain more about it, you give me, put your hand up and then you will talk about it. Okay? Chidima, are you still there with me?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
All right.
I'm
So are you following? Okay. So
Yes.
the analogy I just gave now with your facility, did it sit well?
I followed through the sporting activity, but I'm still trying to understand the basics for using the health facility.
Okay. Okay. So let me make it um easier for you to understand. Do you work in the emergency unit?
Not all the time. Like I said, it depends on the allocation you get for the shift. Sometimes you may be allocated to work in the emergency unit, but it's not all the
Okay.
time. Everybody gets its turn.
Okay. So let's say you are floating. Okay. On this day, you are floating on the 1st of October. You are a floating nurse. Now, on the 1st of October is such a day that you'd expect that maybe there has been some road traffic accident that has happened and involved a mass casualty because of the lots of activities happening. And previously, your facility has been struggling with triaging your patients within the okay, usually triage should happen between 5 to 10 minutes of arrival. That's the global standard. Now, but triage takes about 20 to 25 minutes to happen, or even 15 minutes. And your CEO or the MD of the hospital happens to be a progressive person. He's been so concerned why patients should have to stay long in the emergency unit or even the OP, the outpatients department, without having to see the doctor. Now, On the 1st of October, he has called a meeting, and he knows that you're a business analyst, or he has invited a business analyst um, to evaluate the situation and find out how to help them grow, or how to help them resolve this issue. Now, we have the stakeholders. Do not forget that we are going to classify these stakeholders, right? So let us say one of the stakeholders will be the CEO. We have another stakeholder to be the IT manager, another stakeholder to be the business analyst. We have another stakeholder to be the software engineer. Okay. Of course, you have the during the need analysis, the business analyst has told the company you will need a software to be able to manage your flow, your patient's flow. Okay. Now, you need a software engineer, and you also need a project manager if the business analyst is not going to be the project manager. Excuse me, in this case. Then we also need the nurses and doctors, because they're also stakeholders, and the patients are also stakeholders here. Okay. So now we are going to use the RACI matrix to classify these stakeholders based on their involvement in this project. Now, who should be responsible for the activities of this or of developing the software? The person who should be responsible for it. One, the business analyst, because the business analyst will have to be working hands in glove with the software engineer. Do not forget, last week when I was mentioning the stakeholders, I did mention about the domain subject matter experts, correct? So the domain subject matter expert in this case is the software engineer. We also have the implementation subject matter expert. The implementation subject matter expert here is the IT manager, because he is the one that is going to implement it. One thing is to develop the software. Another thing is for the overall company, the entire company, to agree that, okay, we want to utilize this tool to help improve our processes. So if the CEO doesn't approve of it, or the MD, is not going to fly. In a similar vein, if the IT department does not say, oh, I'm comfortable with this, let us go ahead with it, then it's still not going to fly. So that is why we have the domain subject matter experts, we have the implementation subject matter experts. So in this case, those responsible for this will be the business analysts, the project manager, the domain SME. Domain SME is the software manager or the software engineer. So these ones are going to be responsible for the activity. Okay. Also, we have the nurses and the doctors as those that will be responsible, because they will also, you need to put you need to add some features that will help the user, that will help it to be user friendly, because there's no point building a software that is so complex to be used that at the end of the day the nurses and doctors will choose to do it manually again. So you have to also get them in line with what you're planning or what you're doing. So these are the people that will be responsible for it. Now, what about the accountable people? Who will be accountable for it? Now, the software engineer will also be accountable, regardless of the fact that the person is responsible. He also shares a role in the accountability, because if it goes bad, you reach out to him and say, oh, this software was not made, it does not represent our brand identity, it doesn't represent us properly, it doesn't reflect what solutions we want to want to resolve or want to implement. So the software engineer, that's the domain subject matter expert, will also be accountable for it. The IT department or the IT manager will also be accountable. So you see, the IT is responsible and also accountable. The BA is also here accountable, because if it goes well, to the profit of the company, to the profit of the to the credit of the business analyst as well. So the business analyst is accountable. Now, who will be communicated? Those that need to be communicated are the um that will need to be communicated. You have the nurses, because you have to tell them what you're doing, the IT department, because they will be the ones troubleshooting in case of any issue. The patients as well, you will need to inform them that things are going to get better. You're trying to build up a solution that will help them improve, help the hospital improve and help the patients to be seen within the shortest possible time. So it is consumer satisfaction here. All right. So you need to communicate the patients, your stakeholders. If you are utilizing any stakeholder, anybody who's going to be investing, your investors, they need to be communicated as well. Now, who needs to be informed about this? Those that need to be informed are the CEO. You need to inform him about the progress you're making. Also, your investors, you need to tell them so that they will know what the money is going to be utilized for. Okay? You need to inform them about it. You need to also inform the specialists that triage will now be shorter, like the surgeons, the specialists in different departments, the endocrinologists. You tell them that triage will now be shorter, so they might likely have more patients to see. Of course, you have a KPI that at the end of today, each day, they should have seen 50 patients each, or they should have seen 30 patients each. These are measurable ways. So that's why, excuse me, that's why we usually talk about BA planning and monitoring. So when you have planned, you have implemented, you need to also monitor what progress you're making with that solution. Okay, so that is it. So I've just explained to you um the RACI matrix as it relates to your own facility. Do you understand it better now? Do you understand it better now?
Yes,
All
I
right,
do.
perfect. Thank you. So now, we're having a mini case study here, and I'm going to leave this to you as one of the tasks. Okay, we are going to perform together so that it sits better. Um, a scenario of Palmer's Hospital wishing to launch an online appointment system. They want a situation whereby patients or clients will be able to book appointments before coming down to the facility. This will help to expedite the visits and make them see the doctor within the shortest possible time, or make them to be attended to. Task. What are you going to do here? You need to create a business analysis plan using the stakeholders lists, which we did last week. And I see that you have submitted your task for that. So you need to have a stakeholders register. You register all the stakeholders involved in this, and the RACI matrix as well. You have to mention who and who will be involved in that activity. And you're going to present a roadmap, a 6-week roadmap, to show how you're going to progress with this activity. So this is just going to be a simple, I don't know whether you can take a screenshot of it. You can take a screenshot of this, and then it will be part of the task you're going to submit for the next meeting, okay? All right, if you've done that, if we had more on this group, on this team, this particular cohort, I would have said we split in different breakouts groups so that we'll take responsibilities, we'll assign responsibilities amongst us, and then have us attend to this particular simple project. It could be a small business idea that Chris Bora Ventures has, and then we'll assign roles using the racing metrics and then draw a mini roadmap for about 3 to 5 steps. But I'm going to show you before the or by the end of this session, I'll show you the templates you will use for the RACI and also the road mapping. Okay, because it's always important that you roadmap every project you're participating in to keep your work organized. What about monitoring? So monitoring tips: always check progress. Ask. You want to always ask, are we on track? Why do you want to ask, are you on track? Because you want your activities or whatever solution you are implementing to align with the overall organizational vision. The intention of the CEO, the intentions the CEO had before he established that enterprise. You want to ensure that the activities you are having synchronizes with it. If it's not in tune with the plan, the original plan, then it means you have deviated from the scope of that particular project or that particular solution. You have to redress it. You have to reinvite your stakeholders, keep them updated on the new change, and then also you need to share the dashboard with them. If you have dashboards or checklists, don't forget that when you are doing your RACI matrix, there are people you need to keep informed. So that is the time you need to share this dashboard with them. Your stakeholders, you have to communicate them often, keep them warm so that they will know the progress you're having. If you have investors that have invested in the business, maybe you have an angel investor or you have a limited partner, okay, you need to share this information with them. Look at, this is what we have done so far in so and so activity. This is what is required of us. This is where we are heading. The next communication will be in the next 2 weeks or next week. You just have to make it a routine communication with them. So that's how you monitor your progress as a business analyst. Let's have a quick recap of that. We talked about earlier in this class, we've talked about the business analysis planning, which entails deciding how to work and what needs to be done. In the planning also, you need to identify your stakeholders and know where they're going to be responsible or what their roles and responsibilities will be. Some of them will need to be responsible for the work. Some will need to be accountable. Some will only need to be consulted. And then for some, you need to inform them. So that is where we got the RACI acronym from. Now, you also need to monitor. You want to monitor the overall progress of the solution you're implementing, making sure that the solution is working. Okay? You also want to monitor that the solution you're implementing aligns with the overall intention of the CEO or the company or the board's intention. Okay, and then the tools you will use for the BA planning and monitoring are the RACI matrix, the roadmaps, and the checklists. These are tools you're going to use in real world scenarios. And every tool that we'll be sharing with you in this mentorship program, you can utilize it in your day-to-day activity. They are the same tools you can utilize in your real practice, your actual practice. So they are not, it's not like we're using a different tool in class and then when you come to the actual practice, um, you'll be concerned about the tools to use. No, you don't have to worry about that. These tools have been carefully selected. Okay, both the roadmaps, the racing metrics, the checklists. All right, so that is it. Let us see. Just a moment. The activity or the task, the assignments you're going to be handling. Um, I've given you one already. So let us handle that particular one. Always just in whichever activity you've decided to manage that RACI matrix. If it's in your laundry business or a church event that you're currently having or a side hustle, whichever one it is, I just want you to be able to utilize the RACI matrix or the RACI table to apportion the responsibilities to your stakeholders. Who does what? So that is what you're going to do. Excuse me. And you're going to also utilize a roadmap for 6 weeks. You're going to present a 6 week roadmap on how to implement the solution. Okay. If that is understood, next week we're going to be talking about elicitation and collaboration. Elicitation entails how to ask questions and get answers. But for this particular week, we'll be dealing on the planning and monitoring. So in our next class, which will be tomorrow or next, depends on you, what we're going to be delving at mostly will be going deeper into what planning and monitoring entails, following the IIBA standard. So we're going to be utilizing the IIBA BABOK version 3 to be able to understand what IIBA says about. IIBA is International Institute of Business Analysis. What IIBA says about planning and monitoring. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. Let me show you what the RACI matrix is going to be like. Mhm. I'm trying to pull it up, so hold on, okay? All right, so let me quickly share this with you. I want to share this. Okay, so you're going to make a simple RACI matrix with this. If we had a larger group, we would have split ourselves in different groups, like I said. But since we don't have that, you can just utilize this to perform it. So this task, you have to identify the kind of activities that will be responsible for attaining the solution or fixing the solution, fixing the problem. Here you will list the task. If let us use that instance you have we have raised, that we want to implement a solution for clients to register prior to them visiting the hospital. Okay, we want them to pre-register. So first, it has to be a software, isn't it? So if it's a software, you have to, the task will be design software. Okay. The next one will be, the next task will be test software. So who's going to test it? All right. The next could be organize implementation meeting and then supervise or monitor the software usage or review the software usage. Just it has to be a 6 week time, 6 weeks roadmap you're going to present. But for this one, this is a RACI. You have the stakeholders, the CEO or the MD of your hospital. You have, you know how to align your stakeholders. So just put them there. I want to see it in your drive. So share it there in your drive, not on the main template, please. I see that one or two of you made that error. So don't edit the templates. Don't edit that particular template. You can copy it into your own drive, then you work on your drive, your shared folder, so that I can
Because I
always
asked, you know,
evaluate it from there.
I asked you yesterday now if I'm supposed to edit. You said yes, I should edit it.
Yes, what I mean by editing, if you have copied, then you can go ahead and edit the one that you have copied.
Okay. So I'm
Okay.
supposed
Yes.
to say maybe, so okay, I'm supposed to make
Create
a
a
copy. I'm
That's
supposed
right.
to make a copy. After
Mm.
making a copy,
You
uh,
rename that copy. Yeah, you can rename it
uh
to what you want, to your own, so that you know that it's yours. Then you can copy it into your own shared folder,
drive.
your own folder, your assignment folder, so that I can review it there. Do you understand? Then there you can have it edited, and that way
But
you'll be able to
the
understand.
folder available says the folder I have here, my
Mm.
drive is my drive, and there is no. That's how do I now upload it to the other that folder to you
Okay, so
assigned
how you're
to
going to
me.
do it? Yes, how you're going to do it? You can drag it when you open the file itself and you have copied it. You close the one that you opened originally, and even the one that you have copied. What you now do is you will see at the top there, you will see the name of the folder or the title. You drag that particular file and drop it in there. You can always move it from one folder to another, to wherever it is you want to take it to. It will, that's the way to do it. Because I know when you do right clicking, you won't see the option to cut or copy, right?
Yes.
Yes, so you drag it. It's drag and drop. You drag, you
Okay.
drop there.
I'll
If you
try.
want to delete, you can remove. Yeah, you can always delete it and send to the bin.
Okay, I'll try now. I'll
Yeah,
try
it's
it and
easy to
see
do.
if
Okay?
it works.
If you face any challenges, just let me know. I will assist you with it.
Okay.
All right.
So
So
for this task now, we're expected to maybe amen, my dear. So RACI, using the RACI matrix, the table, we create it, then the roadmap. Then we use a 6 week roadmap as a
yes,
timeline.
that's
And
right.
are we also creating a checklist for it?
Yes, create a checklist for it as well. The checklist is not much of an activity, right?
Just
That
what
is
to
just,
do,
yes.
just to
Yeah.
track.
When I say yes, why I say you should create it is so that when we are doing the monitoring, it will be easy. You can now find out, okay, what you did well when you created the checklist or what you need to improve on. So it's better just try your hands on creating the checklist. Let's see. When we get to the monitoring aspect of the training, okay, we are doing planning now. When we get to monitoring, you will also be able to say, okay, yes, I did well in this, or I need to modify this or do this better next time.
Okay. Are we also doing the reflection? There's an activity 3 here, reflection. Why you think planning and monitoring?
Reflection is what we're going to do together. We're going to reflect on what we have done well, what we need to improve on next time.
Okay. Then
Mm.
as part of the tools for planning, I saw calendar. So where does
Yes.
calendar come in? Just to schedule, Abi?
Okay. So
Or
now
how do
calendar,
we
yes,
calendar?
calendar comes in. Remember that when you are planning, you will need to tell them what they need to do, right? So you have to organize meetings. So that calendar comes in as a tool in organizing the meeting with your stakeholders. You cannot start presenting a solution in oblivion without having to involve your stakeholders. They have to be involved in it. So that calendar is the tool you use to schedule. Like now we're having this meeting, we use the calendar for it. And again, the 6 months roadmap, the 6 week roadmap you're using, you're planning, you also use the calendar because in in each timeline or each what's it called? Each what term am I going to use to describe this now? Each action you've performed, you need to specify, okay, at what point in time is this in the project? At what phase is it in the project? Do you understand? So that's why you need a calendar for the planning. It's time bound. Planning is time bound. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?
Uh, okay. I think everything is clear. Sincerely, I'm not really used to. I'm still just like the voice note I sent to you yesterday. Seems you didn't
Mm.
understand the direction I was driving at. You know, um, I see this